Hey everyone! Today I'm going to take you bird watching. Let's go. Today I'm looking for birds in the Manor Haven Preserve and Nature Trail. The first bird I saw, I knew it was a swan, but I didn't know what kind of swan it was. So I'm using a new app that I got recently that's called Merlin, and it's put out by the Cornell Lab. It's a great resource if you want to try and find out what different types of birds are that you see around your neighborhood. It's really easy to use. You simply put in your location, so I'm going to put in 11050, which is the zip code of Fort Washington. It asks when I saw the bird, so I'm going to put in today, which is June 5th. And then it asks what size the bird is. So this is a large bird. I think it says goose size or larger. Then it asks what color. Let's put white. And what was the bird doing? Swimming or wading. Now, it's going to give me a list of birds, and immediately I see a bird that looks like our bird. I can go through the rest of the list, because sometimes birds look similar, but I can see already that this is the bird that we're looking for, and it's called a mute swan. This is how a mute swan sounds. I click here, and I can learn a little bit about the bird, such as they're often seen in pairs or small family groups. And a lot of times I've seen that's true. I've seen two swans swimming together, or maybe swimming with some little baby swans behind them. The next bird I saw was walking on the ground, and he was really hard to get a close-up shot of him, but I did my best. Right here you can see he has a red belly, he has black wings. Up here I got a shot of him in a tree. So we open up our app, we're going to put in our location, we're going to put in our date that we saw the bird. The size of it is robin sized. I'm going to put in the color as black because he was mostly black. And I saw him first on the ground. And let's scroll through the birds. Right here I see this definitely looks like the bird that I saw, the American robin. Here it says that it hops across lawns and stands erect with its bill tilted upward. Now I'm walking just before sunset because I looked it up and it turns out that's a great time to look for birds. This bird was really hard to get a good shot of. It was standing on top of a lamppost and he wasn't really flying around at first. He was just staying up there, and because of where he was, I couldn't even see what color he was. Eventually he flew away and I tracked him with my camera, and I was able to get one really good shot of him, which you can see here. So let's pause it, let's take out our app, let's put in Fort Washington as our location. We're going to say that we're seeing him today. He's also robin-sized, I would say, and mostly he's black, even though he does have that patch of color on his wing. I can look up and I can say he's standing on a fence or a wire. He doesn't look like this bird, he doesn't look like the starling, but he does look like the red-winged blackbird. I think this is our bird. They say here that males are black with a red shoulder patch that's sometimes concealed. And that was true because when he was standing up on that lamppost, he only looked black to me. I couldn't even tell that he had this. I was lucky that he flew so close that I was able to see the red patch on his arm and identify him. Besides the red-winged blackbird, I wasn't seeing many birds away from the trees, so I decided to go back into the woods and look for some more birds. I almost missed this one because he blended in with the ground so well. But if we pause it right here, we can see a really nice shot of him. Let's put in our location. We can put in the time. It's today. We can put in the size and the color, which I put as brown, and we see him on the ground. Now the first bird that comes up looks a lot like him. He's a little bit puffier. If I scroll through the rest of the images of this bird, it really looks like this one. They say this bird is brown with dark spots on his wings. So I think that this bird that we see is the mourning dove. This bird I only got for about a second before he jumped off over here. But if I zoom in and we pause it, we can see what he looks like we can take out our app and we can try and identify him. This is a sparrow-sized bird, and we see him on the ground. Immediately, this bird looks exactly like him. And as I scroll through, I see there are other types of sparrows that look similar. It looks like all sparrows have similar coloring, but this song sparrow looks like the sparrow that I saw. Here it says that this is one of the most common and widespread sparrows, so I'm really not surprised that we got to see it today. To see some different types of birds, I decided to head down closer to the water. And the first bird I saw was really far away and he was swimming. And he swam too close to these other birds. I think that they were the same species. I think the birds on the dock were trying to protect their nest or their area. And they were standing in a really weird way. I put in my location, I put in the date, I put in the size of the bird as a little bit smaller than a goose. I'm going to guess that he's black. I can't really tell because he's so far away. And I'll say that he's swimming or wading because the other one was swimming. This double-crested cormorant looks like the bird that I saw. As I scroll through, the rest of the birds don't look like the bird that I'm looking at. And when I go through the pictures of the cormorant, I'm more and more convinced that this is the bird that I'm looking at. When I look up information about it, it says that the mating pairs, or the breeding pairs, are all black, and that they dive underwater to catch fish. The other one that I saw swimming dove down a couple times. I wasn't able to catch it on camera, but he was definitely diving underwater to catch fish. I'm sure you've seen these birds before. They're all over Port Washington near the water. Let's look them up and identify them. I would say that they're about goose-sized, and that they are buff or brown. I'll say that they're swimming or wading. Immediately, the first one that comes up, the Canada goose. This bird looks all black, but if you get close to it, or if it's in the sun, you can see that his head is kind of a blue color. So I'm hoping that he should be somewhat easy to identify in the app. He's about robin-sized, and let's say that he's black. He's on the ground. It looks like he was trying to eat most of the time. First I thought that he was this starling, but as I scrolled down, I realized that he looked a lot more like the common grackle. And the common grackle is described as a lanky, fierce-looking, glossy blackbird. These birds are usually seen near the beach or water. They're always seen around the seaside. I'm going to say that they're about crow-sized, and I'm going to put white as the color. And I see them swimming or wading. I scroll down and he looks like the herring gull. These sounds remind me of the beach. This bird I caught flying at first, and eventually he landed. I'm sure that you recognize him, but let's look him up anyway. I'm going to say this is about a little bit larger than a robin, and I'm going to put gray as the color. Even though I saw him flying, he's on the ground now, so let's say on the ground. The first one that comes up is the rock pigeon. As I scroll through the pictures, it looks like rock pigeons have a lot of different looks, but ours was the first one that we saw, so we were able to identify it very easily. The rock pigeon is described as a large dove that's common in cities and farmlands. This was another small bird, and first I thought he was the song sparrow, but I realized that his coloring was a little bit different. So if we pause it right here, let's try and identify him. Let's say that he's sparrow-sized, he's brown, he's on the ground. See, this one looks a lot more like this bird than the song sparrow. So I think the bird that we found here is the house sparrow. This is a house sparrow, and it looks like the bird that we're seeing. So today we've seen a song sparrow and now a house sparrow, two different types of sparrows. In the info box here it says that house sparrows are native to Eurasia and that they were introduced to most of the rest of the world. So they didn't come from here originally, they were brought here. When I see this bird, the first thing that I think is that it's some sort of a crane. It has long legs and a long beak, and it looks like he's looking for fish. Let's take out our app and let's look up if I'm correct. This bird is smaller than a goose, so I'm going to say that he's crow-sized. I'm going to put the color as white and that he's swimming or wading. Let's scroll through and see if we can see any birds that look like our bird. This is the great egret. It's not a crane like I originally thought. It's a great egret. In the ID window, it says to notice the angled kink in their neck. And if you look at the bird that I saw, it has that same kink in his neck. So I'm pretty sure that it's the great egret. I had a lot of fun looking at these birds today, and I plan on getting a lot of use out of this Merlin app. I hope that you guys all download the app and use it to identify birds around your neighborhood. And I hope that you guys have a fun time going out bird watching.